Every human interaction contains a silent, invisible transaction of power. Most people live their entire lives blind to it, operating on an outdated emotional script that guarantees their own suffering. You give your affection, your time, your absolute loyalty. Expecting that reciprocity is a fundamental law of the universe. You believe that if you pour enough of your soul into someone else, the universe will force them to pour back into you. It won't. Human psychology does not operate on Newton's third law. There is no equal and opposite reaction to your devotion. In fact, the opposite happens. The moment you make your devotion absolute, predictable, and desperate, you trigger an ancient evolutionary instinct in the other person: fatigue, indifference, and a subtle, creeping disgust. Psychology calls this phenomenon relational ambivalence. It is a dark, uncomfortable space where a person can simultaneously hold feelings of attraction toward you while feeling utterly depraved and suffocated by your presence. Their brain operates on two competing neural circuits at the exact same time. On one side, the positive circuit remembers your value, your kindness, and the security you offer. On the other side, the negative circuit feels completely overwhelmed by your constant demands for validation. When someone experiences relational ambivalence, they begin to pull away, not necessarily because they hate you, but because human beings possess a primal, non-negotiable drive for autonomy. Autonomy is identity. It is freedom. It is the core psychological need to feel like an independent, sovereign individual. The exact moment a person senses that their autonomy is being eroded by your emotional dependency, they will instinctively build a wall. They start giving you mixed signals. One day, they tell you that you mean the world to them, and the next day, they respond to your messages with cold, distant brevity. They make you feel like talking to you is a chore, a heavy debt they are forced to pay. This paradox creates an absolute hell for the victim. It leaves you trapped in a state of hypervigilance, lying awake at 3 a.m, staring at a screen, overanalyzing every single word, every micro-expression, every change in tone. You try to bridge the gap by holding on tighter. You start chasing them. You demand explanations. You ask them why they are acting distant, why they aren't giving you the attention you deserve. And what you fail to realize is that by chasing them, you are reinforcing the very dynamic that made them pull away in the first place. You're proving to them that their instinct was correct. You are a threat to their freedom. You are attempting to impose your internal world, your anxieties, and your rigid expectations onto their reality. You insist on your way of thinking, subtly suffocating their individuality, demanding that they validate your existence. This cycle inevitably leads to emotional burnout. Burnout occurs when one or both people in a relationship exhaust their internal capacity to maintain the dynamic. Imagine a laborer lifting heavy stones for 12 hours without a single moment of rest. Eventually, the physical body collapses, the muscles fail, the nervous system shuts down. The human psyche works the exact same way. When you spend months or years fighting, pleading, demanding, and overextending yourself to earn someone's love, your emotional reserves hit absolute zero. You become exhausted. They become exhausted. The relationship transforms into a battleground of resentment. And when a person reaches emotional burnout, yelling at them to give you attention is like beating a dead horse and demanding it run a race. To break this psychological trap, you must stop operating like a helpless victim and start mastering the cold, calculating mechanics of human behavior. Your immediate impulse when someone pulls away is to wage war, to start argument after argument, demanding that they fix what is broken. But anger is not strength. Anger is a loud, pathetic confession of your own helplessness. Every time you scream, every time you send a paragraph explaining how much they hurt you, you are giving away your power. You are handing them the remote control to your emotional state. The first step in reclaiming your sovereignty is to introduce a concept that most people fundamentally misunderstand: healthy distance. Healthy distance is not a cheap game of silent treatment. It is not passive-aggressive revenge, nor is it a tactical manipulation tactic designed to make them panic. Passive aggression is just another form of emotional dependency. Healthy distance is the quiet, calm re-establishment of your own life. It means you stop treating another human being as the central sun around which your entire reality orbits. You speak to them normally when communication happens, without malice, without anger, and without coldness. But you withdraw your energy back into your own domain. You fill your day with purpose, with work, with physical discipline, with activities that build your mind and body. If you feed someone the exact same meal every single day for months, even if it is a luxury delicacy, they will eventually grow sick of it. They take it for granted. They throw it away. But when you step back and create space, you force the other person to experience the actual reality of your absence. You stop being a perpetual, suffocating presence and become a finite, valuable asset. You must audit your life and identify the precise triggers that cause you to lose your composure. What drives you to send that desperate text at midnight? Is it a sudden flash of fear that they are slipping away? Is it the sight of them being active online while ignoring your message? Find those triggers, strip them of their power, and eliminate your reflexive responses entirely. The ultimate law of high-intent personal growth is simple. People do not value what is freely given in unlimited quantities. They value what is scarce, earned, and easily lost. When you abandon your own boundaries, you train people to mistreat you. You spend endless hours chasing individuals who wouldn't sacrifice 10 minutes of their day to help you. And then you sit in shock, wondering why you feel hollow inside. You tell yourself that if you just give a little more, if you just compromise your self-respect one more time, they will finally see your worth. This is a complete delusion. Human beings are naturally drawn to completeness, not empty containers. When you constantly beg for affection, when you track their every movement, monitoring when they were online at 3 in the morning, you are broadcasting a loud, pathetic signal to the world. I am empty, and I need you to complete me. An empty container is an object of pity, not respect. Nobody wants the burden of having to complete another adult human being. The moment you project that you are hollow inside, people will run from you or exploit you. They will step on your self-respect because you have already thrown it on the ground for them to walk on. And the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wrote that no man is free who is not master of himself. If your internal peace depends on whether another person texts you back, you are not a sovereign individual. You are an emotional slave. You have given a flawed, fallible human being total power over your mind. To flip this power dynamic, you must master the fundamental mechanics of human leverage, the law of push and pull. Consider a physical spring. When you compress a spring with force, what happens? It builds up intense kinetic energy, storing the tension, waiting for the moment it can snap back out with explosive power. But when you grab a spring and forcefully stretch it, pulling it towards you beyond its natural capacity, it loses its elasticity entirely. It deforms. It becomes weak, useless, and incapable of returning to its original form. Most people spend their entire lives pulling. They pull on people. They drag them into conversations. They force interactions, and they beg for love. They wrap this desperate behavior in the romanticized language of commitment and passion. They make excuses, claiming that real love means holding on no matter how much it degrades their dignity. Stop pulling. When you push back, not with hostility, but with calm, unshakable detachment, you alter the dynamic entirely. When you demonstrate through your actions that you do not need them, that your internal world is entirely complete without their validation, a sudden shift occurs in their psychology. The scarcity principle takes effect. The mind instinctively craves what it can no longer freely access or control. This requires you to execute two absolute rules of high-level emotional discipline. Stop reacting and stop responding. When someone treats you with coldness, disrespect, or indifference, your primitive brain wants to explode. It wants to fight, to scream, or to send a wall of text demanding justice. Do nothing. When they fail to respond to you, do not send a follow-up. Do not ask if they received your message. Do not check their social media accounts to see what they are doing. Simply absorb the silence with absolute composure. Respond with a calm, unbothered posture. If they take hours or days to get back to you, do not reward them with immediate availability. Do not play petty games, but ensure that your time is genuinely occupied by things that actually matter. If you make yourself as accessible as a phone lying on a table, available to be picked up whenever someone feels bored, and cast aside when they are done, you will be treated like an inanimate object. Unavailability creates value. High-value individuals are driven by mission, by purpose, and by self-improvement. They do not have 6 hours a day to waste staring at a screen, waiting for a breadcrumb of attention. Stop consuming brain-rotting media that romanticizes toxic codependency. Society has conditioned you through cheap movies, tragic music, and viral videos to believe that true love requires suffering, self-destruction, and kneeling at someone's feet. You have been lied to. Kneeling at someone's feet does not make them love you. It simply gives them a convenient place to rest their shoes. If you want respect, you must first possess an abundance of it for yourself. Build a life so dense with meaning, so filled with discipline, focus, and personal evolution, that your mind simply does not have the idle capacity to obsess over someone else's indifference. Engage your mind entirely. Work out until your body is exhausted. Build your career, expand your knowledge, cultivate friendships with people who raise your standards rather than draining your sanity. When your internal cup is completely full, you step into a position of absolute power. You no longer approach relationships as a beggar looking for a handout. You enter them as a sovereign entity offering a privilege. And if that privilege is unappreciated, you have the quiet strength to walk away without making a sound. The most dangerous individual you will ever encounter in this life is not the one who openly tries to harm you. The most dangerous individual is the manipulator who wears the mask of a savior. The person who enters your life with sweet words, offers a shoulder to cry on, heals your wounds with artificial affection, and then systematically destroys you from the inside out once they have gained your absolute trust. This is the ultimate form of psychological predation. These individuals possess a vast calculated vocabulary of charm. They read your vulnerabilities like an open book. When you are going through a dark time, when you are broken, lonely, or emotionally bankrupt, they appear out of nowhere like an angel of mercy. They give you love, attention, and promises of an unshakable future. They make you feel as though you have finally found the one person who truly understands your pain. They do this for one reason: to buy your trust at a cheap price, so they can liquidate your sovereignty later. They feed you crumbs of validation, slowly conditioning your brain to rely on them for your emotional survival. It is the psychological equivalent of feeding a wild bird grain out of your hand. At first, the bird is cautious, but as you continue to feed it day after day, it loses its wild instincts. It stops hunting for its own food. It becomes completely dependent on your hand. And the moment the bird drops its guard and lands entirely on your palm, you close your fist. Once a predator knows you are hooked, the mask comes off. The sweet words disappear. The hyper-attention transforms into cold indifference, sudden cruelty, and emotional withholding. They flip the script entirely, making you feel as though you did something wrong to cause the shift. And because you experienced their initial warmth, you spend months or years scrambling, apologizing, and destroying your own self-respect just to get back a fraction of that initial warmth. This pattern will repeat itself indefinitely until you learn how to identify and destroy it. Why do so many people fall for this trap over and over again? Because they are impatient. They operate with a catastrophic lack of emotional discipline. Manipulators are always in a rush. They move fast because time is the absolute enemy of deception. They will push you into deep emotional intimacy within days. They will talk about deep commitments, grand financial investments, or lifelong loyalty before they even know your true character. They love bomb you with overwhelming intensity because they need to bypass your logical defenses before your analytical mind wakes up. If you observe someone rushing a relationship, step back immediately. Real depth takes time to build. Trust is not a gift you give away to anyone who smiles at you and says the right words. Trust is an asset that must be earned through a long, consistent track record of verified behavior. When someone tries to bypass the natural flow of time, when they try to fast-track your trust with grand promises and intense emotional displays, your internal alarm systems should be ringing at maximum volume. Yet most people ignore their internal alarm systems. They feel a deep, uncomfortable gut instinct, a quiet, persistent voice telling them that something is wrong, that this person is too good to be true, that a trap is being set. But instead of listening to that protective instinct, they suppress it. They overwrite their intuition with wishful thinking because they are desperate for comfort. You must learn to honor your internal alarm. If your spirit feels uneasy, if you feel a constant underlying sense of anxiety or doubt around someone, despite their sweet words, pay attention. That anxiety is your subconscious mind processing micro-signals of deceit that your conscious mind has missed. The reason you keep getting betrayed is not simply that the world is full of bad people. You keep getting betrayed because you have developed a habit of granting absolute, unconditional forgiveness to serial abusers. You grant them a pass when they betray you the first time. They come back with tears in their eyes, dropping to their knees, declaring that they cannot live without you, flooding you with affection and promises that it will never happen again. You feel a surge of pity. You drop your defenses, and you hand them back the keys to your life. Then they do it again and again and again. When you forgive a predator without holding them to actual consequences, you are not being a good, virtuous person. You are being an accomplice in your own destruction. You are teaching them that betraying you comes with a zero-cost price tag. You are giving them a clear blueprint on how to manipulate you in the future. Forgiveness in its true sense does not mean giving someone their old position back. You can forgive a person in your heart to release the poison of hatred from your own soul, but that does not mean you allow them back into your space. It does not mean you give them a seat at your table. If someone drives your car and intentionally crashes it into a wall, you do not forgive them and then hand them the keys to a brand new car. You put them in the back seat. Better yet, you remove them from the vehicle entirely. When you cut off a manipulator, they will try every psychological trick in the book to draw you back in. They will accuse you of being heartless, cold, or selfish. They will use your own morals against you, trying to make you feel guilty for finally establishing boundaries. Do not break. Do not argue. Do not attempt to explain your logic to someone who is actively exploiting you. Explanation is a form of weakness. It implies that they have a say in your boundaries. Your boundaries are non-negotiable. Let them experience the absolute icy silence of your absence. Let them realize that they have permanently lost access to a rare, valuable, and strong individual who can never be manipulated again. The society you live in is designed to keep you weak, emotional, and reliant on external validation. It wants you to be a victim, wandering through life, controlled by your immediate impulses, constantly seeking approval from people who do not care about you. Break the script. Stop looking for a savior to enter your life and fix your broken pieces. Nobody is coming to save you. No partner, no friend, no mentor will ever descend from the sky to rebuild your self-esteem, organize your life, or grant you internal peace. You are the only person responsible for your existence. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that we can not control the actions of others, the betrayals of the world, or the chaotic turns of fate. We can only control our own minds, our own responses, and our own character. The ancient scriptures remind us of a fundamental truth. Conditions do not change until the individual takes the radical initiative to change themselves. If you sit around waiting for the world to become fair, waiting for toxic people to suddenly become honest, or waiting for luck to transform your life, you will die waiting. The journey toward high-intent sovereignty begins the moment you accept total responsibility for everything in your reality. If you were betrayed, accept that you ignored the red flags and resolve to cultivate ruthless discernment moving forward. If you were treated with disrespect, accept that you allowed it by failing to enforce boundaries and resolve to never lower your standards again. Stand up, reclaim your time, focus your mind with laser precision on building a life of strength, purpose, and unshakable dignity. Engage in the hard, silent work that nobody sees. Build your physical strength until your body becomes a temple of resilience. Build your intellect by reading deeply, thinking critically, and removing yourself from cheap, low-value distractions. Build your emotional strength by practicing voluntary discomfort, mastering your reactions, and refusing to allow external events to disturb your peace. When you cultivate this level of internal power, your entire aura changes. You project a quiet, calm authority that commands respect without saying a word. Manipulators will avoid you because they know they cannot bend your mind to their will. Toxic individuals will filter themselves out of your life because your boundaries are too strong for them to break. And the people who truly matter, the ones who possess honor, depth, and genuine character, will naturally gravitate toward your presence. You hold the pen. Stop letting inferior people write the chapters of your life. Take back control, step into your absolute power, and build a reality that stands as an unshakable fortress against the chaos of the world.